Get our batteries charged. We have come to be filled with the light. We have prayed and we have sung. We've heard your word read to us. Now instill in us your voice, your light, your leadership, so we might be the people called to follow Jesus, in whose name we pray. Amen. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. These words are found in both the prophecy of Isaiah and spoken as having been fulfilled in the Gospel of Matthew. And while I don't want to argue with the prophets or the Gospel writers, I still see a lot of darkness in the world. All one needs to do is open a newspaper, in case any of you still read a paper, or glance at the news, or read a news story online to know that there is still darkness in the world. There is plenty of hate. There is plenty of divisiveness. There is plenty of violence and pain, racism and sexism. The world can be a dark place. Yet if we dwell on that, we miss the point of the prophet and the gospel writer. Neither are telling us that darkness has been completely dispelled. Rather, they are telling us that we, the people of faith, have seen a great light. The light of God's love personified in the person of Jesus the Christ. The light we have seen calls us, just as Jesus called to Peter and Andrew, James and John, that morning on the shores of the lake, the Sea of Galilee. I am lucky enough to have been to Israel. I have stood on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. I have sailed in a boat on its waters. I have rested on its beaches. I have seen the places from which the disciples were called. I have felt the breeze and the heat of the sun. And I would like to tell you it was vastly different from other lake shores, boating opportunities, and beaches I have rested on. It is not. But it is not the differences in the geography and topography that made the difference to my soul. It is the memory, the knowledge that Jesus the Christ, the one whose life and ministry I followed, walked and sailed and rested in those same places. That is what makes a difference. That is what causes my eyes to light up and my soul to sing. As I reflect on being in Israel, my reflections are more about connections to Jesus than the actual land and topography. To stand in the Garden of Gethsemane, to sit on the steps to the Temple Mount, to walk the Via Dolorosa. All these are much more than geography and topography. They are connections to the life, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus. As I read about the call of Peter and Andrew, James and John, it is also about the call of Jesus on my life. The call to be one of the people who have seen a great light. The light of God's love, mercy, hope, forgiveness, and justice. Are you one of those people who have seen the great light of God's love? Have you felt God's presence and God's call on your life? You see, I believe that all faithful people are called to the light, are called by God, and we are also called to be the light. That same light of love and mercy, hope, forgiveness, and justice in the world. Yes, like Peter and Andrew, James and John, we are called to share the good news, to be fishers of people, to share how God has changed us. But we are also called to dispel the darkness, to do something about the hate, divisiveness, violence, pain, racism, and sexism in the world. That is our call, to bring the light into the world, to be the light bearers. We are actually called to be light, wherever we are, with whomever we walk, in all the places we go, and with all the people we encounter. Trinity UCC is becoming more and more a beacon to the community. And in spite of the fact that you're known as the Eating Church, your mission is to help people find their way back to God, to transform the lives of those you encounter, to speak from your heart. The sponsorship of blood drives and community meals and theology on tap and trunk or treat and becoming an open and affirming congregation all speaks to the light you shine into the world. You are both blessed and a blessing. I am proud of the work you are doing here. I also am proud of the work we are doing as a conference. When I was called to serve this conference in the fall of 2017 as a designated conference minister, the goals were clear. Move the conference forward into alignment with the United Church of Christ. Unify our focus and move us into consistent processes. We also had the ongoing discussions about becoming a new conference with Pennsylvania Southeast. And while those efforts did not progress as we may have hoped, the work of our conference went forward. During 2017 and 18, we worked on our governance structures, moving into clear direction for the governing board and a variety of ministry teams to do the work of the church. Volunteers came forward to be part of faith formation, youth and young adult ministries, congregational vitality, coaching, 3 Great Loves, the continuation of Search and Call, disaster response, Amigos to Guatemala, staff and personnel, the Ecumenical Relations mission team, and a reconfigured committee on ministry. We did a lot in a couple of years. I want to share a few things that are going on right now in the conference with you. Recently, last week, we paused to offer a day of fasting and prayers for peace. Individuals, congregations, and communities gathered to pray for peace, to remember the work of Christmas, as recorded in the poem by Howard Thurman, who wrote, "When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart." As a conference, we are doing more to support congregations through the formation of a local congregational support working group, which is a part of our Committee on Ministry. This group has offered and will continue to offer workshops on lay worship leadership, specifically designed for our small churches who are having a hard time finding pastors, but welcome any layperson from any congregation. We will also be offering a Preaching for Lay Worship Leaders workshop in April. Our spring conference meeting will be focused on interfaith education and relationships through our partnership with the Lehigh Conference of Churches. We are working on a pilot Freedom School, a design of the Children's Defense Fund, focused on literacy and leadership for the poorest of our children. We will begin the program in Allentown this summer and hope to expand to 5 locations in 2021. We have completed Vitality Days training and hope to repeat the training in 2021. We have trained coaches for Christian leaders and deploy them to help congregations who are working on vision and mission development, governance and structure revisions, vitality, worship, community outreach, and a host of other needs. Our work as a conference has begun to bear fruit. We have added a congregation to our conference, an urban multicultural congregation which was previously non-denominational, joined us last spring. In addition, 2 congregations have recently merged in order to increase their mission and outreach activities. This spring, we will begin a conference-wide book study of the book White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. This book helps us understand why talking about racism is so difficult. We are encouraging small groups, area mission councils, congregations, and individuals to read the book. I have it with me in case you'd like to look at it. The conference will be hosting some Zoom online conversations as well. And it is our hope that we will begin to talk about the systems and cultural constructs which impede freedom, mercy, and justice for everyone. We hope you will join us. Each of us has a role to play in the development, in the growth, and the outreach of the conference. Ministers are among our greatest resources, and we have formed communities of practice to support our ministers and to provide them with an opportunity to learn from and share resources with their colleagues. We have encouraged our ministers to take advantage of resources from the Pension Board's Ministerial Assistance Resources, the Next Generation Leadership Initiative, the Credo Program for Wellness, and the use of emergency funds when disasters and medical emergencies occur. As a means of supporting this program, we have asked each congregation to make a $100 pledge and each minister to make a pledge of $25 for each of the next 3 years to assure those programs will remain. If you haven't joined the partnership, I hope you will consider it. Our disaster response team, of which Dawn is a member, has been broadening its reach into outlying counties who suffered flooding in the last year. The work continues under the leadership of Reverend Carl Jones and his team. The mission project of the Amigos de Guatemala continues as the medical mission building will be completed this spring. Medical missions trips will follow, providing needed medical care to the people of Monte Margarita. At our fall meeting, we hosted Todd Bolsinger, who spoke about his book, Canoeing the Mountains, looking at the challenges of the church through the lens of the journey of discovery undertaken by Lewis and Clark. At that conference meeting, I was elected to serve you as your called conference minister. It was my joy to accept that call to be the 4th settled minister of the Penn Northeast Conference. My installation as your conference minister will be on Saturday, April 4th at 2 at UCC Greater Wells in Allentown. I hope some of you will join us for that celebration. We are, in this conference, in this church, shining the light of Christ in many ways. And yet, there are still places of darkness, still needs for us to fill, still light needed in many parts of our churches, communities, and the world. We can each do our part. We need to each do our part. And no task or godlight is too small. There's a song by Josh Wilson titled Dream Small, which reminds me that the smallest of tasks, the littlest of acts make a difference. Some of the lyrics are, it's a mama singing songs about the Lord. It's a daddy spending family time the world said he cannot afford. These simple moments change the world. It's visiting the widow down the street or dancing on a Friday with your friend with special needs. These simple moments change the world. Of course, there's nothing wrong with bigger dreams. Just don't miss the minutes on your way to bigger things. Because these simple moments change the world. My friends, the little things we do, the little God lights we shine into the world can make all the difference. All the difference to individuals, to families, to communities, to countries who are touched by our actions. We are called to be bearers of the light of God's love. It is my hope, as your called conference minister, to spend the next years helping us learn how to share our God lights, how to dispel the darkness by the sharing of God's love, hope, mercy, forgiveness, and justice. That is my dream. I hope it also is yours.